Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we are going to answer a question that was asked. I'll drop the email or the comment like right up there somewhere. I'm out on the road, so I really can't remember exactly who it was. If we get so many comments, I do apologize for that. But we're going to answer the question about the handling of the Spyder. One of the questions and comments that I get a lot, and I mean a lot, is how flighty the Spyder is at speeds, and what do you do to overcome that? Now, as with anything in life, muscle memory and experience can do a lot of things, but this little stretch of road right here, I can go up to 70 miles an hour safely, and I can show you some handling things. And this road is not real smooth, and it's got a little bit of a pitch to it, even though the video I'm sure doesn't show a whole lot of that, but it does have a little bit of a crown to it. So let's speed on up to 70 miles an hour. We'll do some different speeds on the way home. So here we go. Let's inch the cruise control up there so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so here we are at 70 miles an hour. Now, when I first started riding the Spyder, Coach Vic's going to freak out a little bit because I haven't given her a heads up. She's on the back. When I first got the Spyder, it was like this, okay? Now, I don't know how much the camera's picking up on that. That's kind of how it felt. Everything was reaction like that. I would push the Spyder a little bit one way, and then I would feel it correcting aggressively to the right, like because I was correcting to the right aggressively. And then I would push left to correct to the left, and then that would move it further over even to the left. And as you do those corrections, all of a sudden you're all over the lane. And you can see I'm doing 70, and I've got two fingers right here holding my line. So the big thing that you're going to do on the Spyder is oversteer. So let's talk about a few things that you can do to not oversteer on the Spyder. Again, this road is not pancake smooth. It has a crown to it. So if I let go of the handlebar, let's see what the Spyder does based on the road. Okay, it's climbing a little bit, right? It's climbing into the center of the road. Let's do it again. Pretty straight line. And once it gets out of those grooves, out of those trenches, you know, because you do on every road, you have a trench where the tires are worn in. If I can get those tires lined up in that trench, right, it will trail straighter. Let's see if I can do that. I'm not going to be able to. Like I said, the road really got this going on. So how do I mitigate that? How can I be so smooth on it, knowing that it was so brutal when I first got the Spyder? Well, let's talk about a few things that you can do that will make your life a lot easier when learning to steer the Spyder at highway speeds. All right. Technique one, gradually work on your speed. So get to where you're comfortable at 40. I mean, really comfortable at 40. But while you're getting comfortable at 40, ride up to 50 a little bit. When you get comfortable at 50, ride up to 55. When you get comfortable at 55, while you're working on 55, ride up to 60. Keep gradually lifting that ceiling. You're going to start seeing things happen. Your reaction time is going to change. Now, on a motorcycle, and for those who come from a motorcycle background, you are constantly giving corrective feedback on a motorcycle. All vehicles, including cars, they want to track a straight line, and if your alignment, your toe in, and all that stuff's correct. The machine wants to go straight. That's what it wants to do. Now, of course, the road is inconsistent, tire wear inconsistent, all of those things. There are a lot of variables. And those who are into the science, like I've got a subscriber from a company called Endeavor Trikes. He could chime in here in the comments below. I really would like to do a live chat with him one time and talk about alignment and steering and get his philosophy and thoughts on it, because he's a lot sharper on the science side of it than I am. Everything I'm doing is from experience of just riding for years and years and years and years. But as you ride, The big thing that you want to know is the Spyder wants to go straight. Knowing that, you are only providing the feedback required to keep it straight, as opposed to thinking that you always have to steer it straight. Now there's a big difference there. Steering straight is what I was doing, because that's kind of how it feels on a motorcycle, where you always have that pressure on the handlebar. Here it's a lot different. You're steering it. So I could take one finger here, and you can see one finger, there's really very little feedback going on here. Very little. So you can see just from that how easy it would be to oversteer this thing. So rule 1, gradually build your speed up. Rule 2, think in terms that the Spyder wants to go straight. You are just trying to make sure that it doesn't get off of line. Once you get it back in line, the Spyder should self-correct to a certain degree. And if it doesn't, then you need to look at your alignment and those sorts of things. Also, don't freak out if you're on a road that has a real bad crown or some crazy terrain. If it does feel like you're a little all over the place, it's not the end of the world. But you'll understand that's very rare, and you got to be on some pretty cruddy roads to feel that way. So you can see I've been driving all this way with one finger. Now I'm going to pass this vehicle. I'm going to bump my cruise up 2 miles an hour here, 3 miles an hour. I'd like to pass this guy. Well, he's going to change lanes. Dadgummit. Oh, okay, I've got to change lanes anyway. There's a truck over here. So here I am. I'm allowing the Spyder to do the work. I got it pointed in that direction. Now I'm over here. I want to straighten it out. I'm going to push just a little bit. Now I'm providing no feedback. Now I'm going to have to, see the road has a curve. I'll take that finger, I'll pull the handlebar back a little bit, which will turn it, right? And now I'm just providing stability. So if your hands are getting tired when you're riding the Spyder, you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't be giving it the Vulcan death grip. You can see this road has a nice curve to the right, and there again, I'm just pushing with that finger, that index finger right there. That's all I'm doing. So think in terms of feedback that you are providing as simply corrective. It's not, you're not keeping the line. The Spyder's keeping the line. You're simply correcting when the road pushes you out of the line. And your job is not to steer it back, it's simply to correct it. Very gentle. You see? Bridge that was like pretty, I mean, it was bouncing, we were bouncing. And here I am again. Speed limit's gonna decrease. I'm gonna come off. I'm keeping my index finger. Now I'm gonna have to use my accelerator here. But it's hard for me to accelerate one finger, but I'm gonna provide as little feedback with my right hand as possible. In fact, you can see I've got the palm of my hand, I've got it open. That's just so I can work my throttle. But my hand literally is just resting on it. It is not providing anything than just a little corrective measure to keep everything in a straight line. So there's your two main techniques. If you master those two, and it won't take long. Just those two concepts. When you get out, if you're thinking about it, you're going to improve unbelievably, and you're going to improve unbelievably fast as you ride these things. Now, for those who have been riding the Spyder a long time, you already know this, and you're doing it without even realizing that you're doing it. It's just the way the human mind works. Okay. So now that we've got that figured out, now let's start talking about riding with two hands. So now we've got two hands on here. Right now, basically, this thing is like just a shelf I'm lying my hands on top of. That's all I'm doing. And I'll push a little bit. And see, there again, if I'm turning left, for example, I don't know what your technique is, and your technique can be dramatically different than mine, and I'm okay with you sharing comments down below about your technique, but I'm going to share my technique, And then you can do what you want to do. All right. Now, we're going to make a left turn here in just a minute. When I make that left turn, and then we're going to go down a little straightaway, we're going to make a right turn, and we're going to have some road correction changes to make. But when we make this left turn, most of my turning, certainly at speed, if I'm turning left on a motorcycle, I would be pushing left because you're counter steering. On a Spyder, though, you're steering. So if I'm turning left, I rarely pull. I'm not pulling with my left hand. I'm pushing with my right hand. I'm doing the exact opposite of what I would do on a two-wheeled motorcycle. Now, if I'm at a standstill, it might be a little different. You'll see me kind of pull it that way just to get it pointed in the direction. But when I'm rolling, when I'm riding, I'm pushing towards the direction of the turn. So like here, I turn left, and when I get up here on this next road and I have to go to the right, I'm not going to be pulling with my right hand. I'm going to be pushing with my left hand. Now, there are a lot of techniques in motorcycle racing that I've been learning and studying and all of those things, and most of those things I've done through the years. But I've learned this: it's easier to oversteer on something than it is to steer correctly. It's very, very easy to grab with your left hand and push to the right, and grab with your right hand and pull to go around that curve, than it is to just use one hand. We're more prone to oversteering. So here we are. I'm going to have a little, like a ramp here. I'm going to set the cruise. Imagine this hand here is touching over here, but this is what's really going on, even though this hand is here. Watch. The left hand, I'll lean and I'll push with the left. That's all I'm doing. I'm not pulling with the right. I'm pushing with the left. Now, as I come into that straight line, I simply relax that hand and the Spyder goes straight. Now I'm simply correcting with an index finger. That's all there is to it. And that holds true in every turn that you do. So think in terms of pushing in the direction that you want to go. The exact opposite of a motorcycle. Now, I use the cruise control a lot. Look at that dude passing. I'm glad he dropped in behind that guy. That would have been close otherwise. When you're riding a motorcycle, it's the same thing. It's just in the opposite direction. So if I'm going to turn left, I'm pushing left with my left hand, not my right hand. And I'm not pulling with my right hand. The idea of not pulling, there are a lot of guys who are going to tell you they do pull. I don't really do a lot of that. I'm just telling you I don't. And the techniques that I've learned from the racers that I know, they are encouraging me for that one hand to provide all of the feedback. If not, you'll start doing this. You'll have both hands on here. We'll put both hands on here, and I'm going to push to the left with my right hand. I'm going to push that way, and I'm going to pull with this hand. As I do that, then when you're trying to correct, you're steering it back and forth. You're not allowing it to naturally fall back in line. And when you do that, you're going to oversteer. So think in terms of one hand. It could be, and that doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to look obvious. When I'm riding, you're making the assumption if both hands are up here that they're both steering, but they're not. They're just not. I'm constantly dropping my left hand. You see this in videos all the time. Take this hand right here, and I'll put it on my side like this. Now see, this road has a dramatic crown. This road wants to push me off to the side. I can feel it. It's very dramatic right back there. So will that catch you by surprise every now and then? And like, this is a real bouncy bridge, and this road, I can see right now it's starting to pitch to the other side. This is an old country road, and erosion has made this road settle in a lot of ways that are not how it was really designed. Sometimes the crown is like it's supposed to be, and sometimes it's pitched up where there's just water standing in the middle of the road due to settling. Just the way it is. And old roads are that way. But you can see now, I've got my left hand on here. No different. No different at all. So there's 3 of them. Number 4. Number 4. Concentrate on what you're doing. Now that may sound awfully obvious, but you need to concentrate on your technique, on your building of skill. Sometimes when you go out on a ride, in fact, I would say that every time when you go on a ride, whether it's for 20 minutes or 20 miles or 2,000 miles, there should be a section of that ride where you're focusing on your skill. It could just be 5 minutes. Every time I get on the Spyder, I think about my skill development. How could that turn be smoother? How could that acceleration be better? How could that braking be done in a more effective manner? Did I start my braking too late? Did I start it too early? Constantly analyzing everything that I'm doing. Concentrate on the skill of riding a motorcycle. This is a 3-wheeled motorcycle. Concentrate on building that skill. Okay, so we're going to go around this left sweeping turn here. Notice I've got one finger right there. All it's doing is pulling. I can do it that way, but normally it's here. That's it. I'm just pushing right around the turn. Now that it's straightened out, I'll lighten up that relax. I'll relax that arm, and that brings it back in a straight line, and there I am again. Now this road right there, you could see, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. It's a dramatic pitch to the right. If I let go, it's going to push me that way big time. See, look at this, look at that. Remember, it was pulling to the left on the other road. Now it's pushing off to the right on this road. It's the road, it's not the Spyder. All right, last but not least, number 5. This is another mental one, okay? Number 5 is simply this: work within your limitations as you grow. In other words, don't try to learn too fast, and don't get frustrated with yourself. If you get on the interstate and you feel like you're bouncing all over the interstate, and quite honestly, that's how I felt when I first got my Spyder, I just avoided the interstate. Now, where I live, I'm literally 3 minutes from the interstate, so I love to get on the interstate. It saves me a lot of time. I just avoided it. I just avoided it. I realized that I needed to drive at 45 and 50 miles an hour. And then I went out on some of the most narrow winding roads in the general vicinity of my home to practice those curves. I had a little circle that I would do down a road called McCracken, and I would turn left at dead ends into Baum Road, and then Baum Road dead ends into Miccosukee, and then I'm back on McCracken. None of those roads are real straight. They're all narrow. They all have a crown to them. And I would do, every time I'd go out for a ride, I'd do 3 or 4 laps around that in each direction. It'd take me 20 minutes or so, but I didn't have anything else to do. I'd just go for a ride. So here I am. I'm pushing with my left hand. Now we're sweeping hard. This is a sharp turn here too. I'm pushing with one hand. Notice this hand's not doing anything. I'm just pushing with that hand. Now if you feel more comfortable pulling, that's fine. But that's what I do. So now you know. But again, relax, concentrate, stay within your limitations. If you're uncomfortable taking a turn, and especially if you're riding with a group and they're all off the front, I've said this many times before, ride your ride. Don't allow someone to force you to ride their ride. That will get you killed. Ride within your limitations. And please, fellow Spyder riders, share in the comments below in order to encourage others who are struggling with the oversteering potential that this particular machine has, because a lot of people really do struggle with that. I guarantee you there's not a week that goes by that I don't get 3 or 4 emails where people are going, I think there's something wrong with my Spyder. I'm all over the road. So was I. So was I. So I want you to know it gets better. Yes, you can get the Baja Ron sway bar. You can do all those things. You can replace components. And yes, that it will make a dramatic difference. You know, most people want to put a loud pipe on a motorcycle. You'll do a lot better doing suspension work and brake work on a motorcycle than you ever would by putting a loud pipe on there. But, you know, to each his own. And I'm guilty of it too. So, the Spyder in and of itself, though, is quite capable. It's quite capable of handling nicely. I'm living proof of it because I'm not a pro. I'm just a guy just like you who goes out and loves to ride. I put well over 15,000 miles on this machine. And I'm very, very comfortable on it. But I try not to be overconfident, because overconfidence will get you killed. It'll get me killed too, y'all. I ain't no better than anybody else. All right. Well, hopefully these little techniques and tips and pointers have helped you a little bit. And it's going to make your riding experience even better than it was before. So do me a favor, a couple of things. One, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. Post it up on your social media for those who are struggling with this particular issue, because you're going to see it. I guarantee you, if you're in the Spyder forums, you're going to see people struggling with this. So until next time, I want you to go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you are doing it wrong. Now we'll see you on the road real soon. You go seize the day.